Hello and welcome back to the Bird's Eye View podcast. We're back today for our final episode in our year in review series for each of the Toronto Blue Jays minor league affiliates. I'm your host, Zach Worden, joined as always by Jori, Negin-Shecter. And today we're headed down to AA New Hampshire, and we're joined by a very special guest to recap the 2025 season in the Eastern League. It's Fisher Cats manager Brent Lavallee. Brent, thanks so much for taking the time to do this today. We're really looking forward to having you on and diving into the year.
Yeah, thanks, Zach and Jori. I appreciate the call and looking forward to talking to you guys.
So I guess we can kind of start with you and your season, because obviously this was your first year in AA with the Fisher Cats after being in Vancouver for a couple years. How did you kind of find the transition, and how did you just in general kind of enjoy the year in New Hampshire?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a change of pace. I had spent 3 years in Vancouver. That was home. That's where I'm from, family there. Uh, but this was a cool opportunity, and it's a tough league. And gosh, man, you get to see talent every single night, and it's a dogfight. It's cold, man. Like, people give Canada a tough rap, in Vancouver especially. Like I know in Ontario and Alberta where you guys are, it's pretty chilly. But like Vancouver, West Coast, we don't get that cold where I'm from. And but yeah, it was a cold start to the year. We have a gritty group of people, like staff, players, support staff out there with the Fisher Cats. And man, we grinded through that cold season and got to some warm weather and green grass, and very enjoyable. Just every night, you're seeing big leaguers on rehab assignment. You're seeing young AA guys throw 103. You're seeing guys that we'll be watching on TV next year or already have this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you're so close. We still have to learn so much. And there's so many different aspects to this game to master or really develop at. And it was just cool to be a part of the process with the players and the staff there. And, record was what it was, but, you're facing some good players every single night. They work just as hard as you. And I felt like we competed every single night. We either, if we lost, it seems like we had the lead and let it slip, or we had the tying and winning runs on and just didn't get the knock. And that's why we play in the minor leagues
Yeah.
and learn to be clutch and learn to, pick up runs when you can or limit them when you can. And but yeah, great learning experience. A bunch of younger guys there this year as well. A lot of first-time AA guys, as well as some guys repeating. But great first year there, and really enjoyed it.
I know you brought up a lot of guys kind of with you from Vancouver to AA this year. How much did that kind of make the transition easier, having the familiarity with a bunch of the guys from the year before?
Yeah, it was definitely new. Moving up with the players, kind of so to speak, and experiencing a stadium for the first time together
Yeah.
versus the year before I'd been in that league for the third time, and a player's coming new. It's like, hey, this is how this ballpark plays. This is how the fans are. This is how the travel is. You get really accustomed to making those trips and playing in those ballparks. But um, shoot, man, I was turned around out in the Northeast. I'd never been up there. I didn't know if I was going east, west, or south at times. Just know we were going to a different ballpark in a different state, and we had some tough challenges ahead of us. But it was cool to move with them, experiences together. Looking forward to hopefully going back this year and getting to do it again and move those guys up, or if they have to have a bounce back year, we can have that and tackle that. And so it'll be pretty cool to go back if that's where things land. And but yeah, I really enjoyed the unknown, and kind of got to see it from a player's lens a little bit more of
Yeah.
like, it's a big jump, man. It's a really big jump.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I know just kind of in general for the entire organization, like a pretty crazy year. A ton of guys moving, ton of guys kind of coming and going. But I mean, I guess, from your perspective, I mean, obviously the big league club goes to the World Series. What is it like kind of from your position to sit there and watch them do that? And obviously, guys you've been around. Obviously, you had Trey Savage on your club this year as he goes to the World Series. What was it kind of like for you to kind of experience that as a minor league manager?
Yeah, it's kind of conflicting. I think what I'm about to say doesn't make much sense, but it's cool to see how close you are, but then there's also moments when you notice how far away you are as
Yeah.
well. And then you watch some of the games, and some of the big leaguers make the same mistakes that our guys did, or struggle with the same. I mean, we all saw guys struggle with Trey. Like,
Yeah.
we watched that from 50 feet away in the minor leagues, and other guys too that maybe would have got traded or whatnot, or injuries popped up. But Um, Man, it's a special feeling. It's a special feeling. I was lucky enough to go to a few of the home playoff games and
Oh, nice.
watch them with friends all over the Canadian country of Canada, and then
Yeah.
friends in throughout all the different states that were pulling for us, and really makes it special to coach for Canada's team or be part of this organization because it stretches not just coast to coast in Canada, but all throughout the United States and abroad as well. So um, just so proud of those guys and so thankful that we got to watch good baseball and our minor leaguers as well, seeing the importance of everything that we saw. Coming in doing a job. If you're down by three, you come and throw a zero, and we go and score five.
Yeah.
Like we preach that in the minor leagues, just throw a zero, stop the bleeding, let us answer. All the way down to everything we saw, getting bunts down, fielding bunts,
Yeah.
throwing runners out, like, Kirky throwing out Otani there, like one of the million plays of that World Series, but like throwing out Otani, I think it was a game we lost in 18. Extra innings, you throw out one of the best
Yeah.
base stealers in the world with a good jump, and man, that gave us a shot. And it's like, just something to drive our minor leaguers to like, you want to throw Otani out? That's the type of tools you need to have, the type of accuracy, release time, and all that. So it fired me up to coach again next year
Yeah.
to see all these little things that, man, they show up at our place and we're so close because like Trey was out there, like or whomever, a lot of guys who got close and contributed to that run. But just so special to watch the org come together, the country, all Blue Jays fans, like what a run.
Yeah, no doubt that World Series for sure touching not only I'm sure the fans, but I'm sure every kind of part of the organization as well. I guess I'd be curious, kind of from a high, kind of over the top sort of view, and then maybe we'll zoom in a little bit more on kind of specific players, but just your general sense of kind of how the year went for you guys, not only from necessarily a results perspective, but even a process and development perspective, how you felt your first year went and how it went for the team as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I'd say just short of terrific. Hands down, it was a huge challenge, but just so rewarding to sit down with all those players at the beginning of the year and say, okay, what are the org's old goals for you? What are your goals for you? And how do we attack it? And having a like that conversation and then including our staff and then helping these guys over the next 6 months or however long they were with us achieve that. Whether it's with a guy like Yohendrick Pinongo, who was pretty much new to every single one of us staff. And I know he had a few games with us last year, but you can see it in that kid's eyes that he wants it. And and we don't speak the same language for us English speakers,
Yeah.
and he speaks a little bit of English, and we all speak a little bit of Spanish, but um, just to be able to connect with the players and develop and get him doing the small things that make him a AAA ready outfielder on top of the skill set he already has to go hit at that level and beyond. The development stories are endless. Even in games you lose, like sometimes you come back in the next, after game review and say, like, that was a learning opportunity. We didn't lose that game if we learned from it. And kind of like just one of those things where you look at everything in general and you say, like, you get your five at bats tonight. Did you hit the pitches or swing at the pitches you're looking for? How was your approach? What was your BP like? And just encompassing the strength and conditioning, the nutrition, and just elevating these players to be just better. I don't say humans, but be better, more well fueled, hydrated. Be range of motion, strength, and then to go out there and compete at the highest level of baseball or one of the highest levels and achieve their goals that they've had since they were young. It's a special thing to be a part of, and I thought we crushed it. As did the opponents we played. Watching other teams work and watching other teams get better, and you kind of steal some things from them. But um, yeah, we attacked the priority goals, and then all the extras that these players wanted to improve at.
I mean, obviously the probably biggest success story maybe across baseball this year in the minor leagues was of course Trey Savage, and you guys had him for the longest, or I guess the most appearances of any minor league team. I wonder in his time there, what did you kind of see from him, and when did you maybe get a little bit of the sense of like, oh, this is a guy that may be pitching in the big leagues by the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, first impression was, I mean, he's a great person. He's personable. He'll look you in the eye. He'll give you a good handshake. Uh, he'll have a conversation. He won't just take the yes or no answer and approach. And so a great back and forth with Trey, totally in control of his own career and everything he does. Um, he's the type of guy that win or lose, and this probably goes back to his college and high school upbringings, but he'll pick up the dugout. He'll help us
Yeah.
leave it better than we found it, which is, just the mark of a good person and someone who's going to be successful in life.
Yeah.
Kind of a sweep the sheds kind of guy. And there's a lot of guys that I could highlight that would do that. And whether his 5 innings went well or not, you'd always see him kind of pitching in and helping load the bus or helping a teammate. So and then just compete. Like once he crossed that line or he put those headphones on to go out to do his thing. I mean, I don't want to compare it to Max Scherzer, but you know how like Max has that Mad Max. It's just the look. It's what we're all envious of. And you can just see Trey when he shifts into game mode, and got to see him make a couple starts in the postseason as well, man. That was just goosebumps to think about and to see his family and the emotion. And I think his first start with us in Double-A was in Reading, which, forgive me, within an hour of where he's from.
Yeah.
And I think he had 40, 60, 80 people there. And it didn't go how he wanted, but man, you could see it mattered, and it mattered to a lot of people. And yeah, he definitely elevated us and helped us see what the path could look like for some of these guys.
Were you privy at all to any idea or any plans that he was potentially coming on the radar? Or was this something that, he made a couple starts at the level and then maybe you had heard, oh, maybe this is something that we got to maybe prepare for? What was that process like?
I mean, with all these guys, you're thinking, man, there's a shot they could impact us, whether it's with their legs, their arm, whatever. But when you're a first rounder that didn't go out to pitch last year because your innings were low, or sorry, innings were high in college, and we wanted to keep them lower, and then he starts the futures game, and you kind of hear the rumblings in spring training, but then you don't really believe it, and then you see what he did in Dunedin, and you're like, oh, all right, see if you can do it in Vancouver, and then he did in Vancouver, and then you're like, hey, Trey's coming your way. We want X, Y, and Z. So then it's like, wow, this could be, and the teams, the big league team really kind of turned their season around that, summer months. And while we had them, and I think there was a time we had to like take him out of a game and remind him of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yes, he could have thrown the 6th inning or the 7th inning every night, of course, but there was a plan, just like there is with everyone. And it just so happens he took advantage of it and trusted the plan, because he went to go pitch in that All-Star game, the futures game of the All-Star break, and with the pitcher, you can really, that alteration to their routine can sometimes have some ill effects. But kudos to our org and Trey and everyone involved, our pitching coach's strength and our trainers keeping him ready to go. And I mean, obviously we saw his best when it mattered, and what a blueprint for us to follow and other kids to be ready for.
Yeah, such an awesome story. And you guys, I mean, you had so many, I would imagine, kind of pitchers schedules that you had to kind of work around, having so many high level starters kind of work their way through there. I think there was one point in the year where your rotation was like Trey Savage, Jaron Watts Brown, Grant Rogers, Kendry Rojas, like Cal Steven, like just kind of all these guys who, are more familiar, I would say, to like the general prospect and Blue Jays fan. Like, what was it kind of like having to or I guess getting to have like that many high level starters pass through this year and trying to, kind of manage their schedules at the same time?
No, what a manager's dream to have a guy that could go 5 scoreless and 80 pitches every night. Yeah, there were some good weeks there. Uh, yeah, man, like we're gonna look back at it. I think we said in the moment, like we're gonna look back at this staff and kind of laugh in 5 to 10 years and say,
Yeah.
all those guys were here at once. And not all those guys you named, and even Trey blew through this level. Like
Yeah.
it's challenging. And if that's any consolation to how difficult Double-A is, Trey didn't have a zero. Guys scored,
Yeah.
and so it's impressive that we even moved a couple arms up to Triple-A early. Devereaux Harrison, CJ Van Eyck, Anders Tolhurst. Like we ran through some really good arms. And I think at the end of the day, it's development, health, and then understanding what meat's left on the bone for okay, you got this double A guy out, which is a huge challenge in itself, but you kind of left it up and you got to chase. Now in triple A, that guy who's got 4 years of big league time doesn't miss that pitch. Um, so there's always something to sharpen, and that's what I really respected about those guys. Kendry, Cal, Grant, Gage Stanifer came to us at the end of the year. Fernando Perez, like I mean, I think no disrespect to the guys that weren't there, but we got them all, man. And to be able to, we at one point we had every big arm, and there's more coming, and just what a privilege to watch these guys all work. They do it their own way. Our organization does a great job of them being in command of their own career and what they want to do, and how they want their success to look, what they want the blueprint to look like. But our pitching coaches and managing those guys was easy because we've done a really good job drafting good people and guys that are motivated to work and take their lumps and get back out there 5 days later and, give it everything they have. And if it goes whichever way the outcome goes, attack the next in between starts the same way or improve a little bit. So, yeah, I learned a lot about professionalism and stick to itness and man, great stuff from all those guys you mentioned.
More of a question, I guess, about managing that sort of group. When you're at the double A level, obviously you start to get into almost, every single guy on the roster is really like a prospect, like a knocking on the door type. Where does the balance kind of lie in terms of recognizing that, hey, this is a guy with, big league aspirations, that the club as a whole is really trying to kind of mold into a certain player, versus this is a guy right now that has a certain kind of talent level even as things stand, even if they are a high-end prospect, and kind of the way that those two kind of worlds kind of mush together.
Yeah, I think you have to look at what is each player's strength? Like what has got them here and what's their carrying tool that will get them to the big leagues? And then what are the things in the big leagues that we know have to happen? Like, hitting the ball hard, putting it in play, all the things we saw that makes our big league team so great is Ernie's not trying to be like Addison Barger. And, maybe, but he knows like if he adds a little bit to his game that Barger has, his game will improve. And the same thing with Addison Barger, who I had back in 22, I think in Vancouver. Like he had to make some changes to put balls in play more. So I think you're kind of looking at it from both sides of what is this player's strongest asset? What's his ticket to the big leagues? And how do we lean on that the most? Is it a defensive guy? Is this an OPS guy? Is this an on-base guy? Is he like a hybrid of everything? Is he a slug? Uh, is he a guy that has a bat and we will find a spot for him? Or is this a cornerstone middle infielder that we need to be patient with that walks a ton and has great instincts? So um, and then I think once you identify like what their strongest assets, okay, what's the next best tool, or what are the tools that we can just raise with him a little bit more? Because it is a long career and it is something you're not going to master in a day. I lean on, a guy like Cade Doughty who played short for us after some injuries and some guys getting moved. And I mean, just an excellent defender and, you know, kind of screams Ernie Clement to me. The contact skills are there. There's a little bit of damage. There's a little bit of average. We don't know which way he's going to teeter yet. So let's lean on the defender and continue to try to get the hit tool better and the damage tool better. Because that to play in the big leagues, you need to impact the baseball to hit and to stay there and to help us create runs. So, but if you impact it and don't hit it, it doesn't matter. So, it's like lean on the strongest tool and the carrying tool and develop the others, while knowing what the end target looks like, because we get to watch every Jays game, pretty much parts of it. So we're seeing what these few guys will be like in the future, we hope. And it's kind of easy to be like, you watch Ernie come up with a game-winning double and see him play how he plays at third and then say, well, Cade Doughty has a similar tool set. So let's lean on that. I don't know if I answered your question there, but it's a fun thing to tackle when you're having 30 individuals all chasing the same thing their own way. And man, just creativity and man, staff meetings are a blast just to try to figure out this, solve this equation of how do we make every single player better here at the whole game. So yeah, it's enjoyable. Get me fired up. I
That's
want it to be season already.
that's so cool to hear, like kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff, and obviously, kind of having those plans for each of the individuals. And I think Cade is a good shout out. He had a really great fall, so in Arizona, so that was great to see. One guy, I mean, we could probably do like 20 minutes on every single player with you, but one guy I kind of did want to talk about was Grant Rogers, who ended up throwing, I believe it was like the fourth most innings in the entire minor leagues. And we had him on, like, I guess it was a couple years ago at this point, but huge personality, like super fun guy. I wonder what your experience with him has been like, and how you kind of saw him adapt to Double A this year, and maybe what he's kind of changed in his game.
Oh, Grant is absolutely one of a kind and just a special human and competitor and teammate. I don't think I've never seen someone bring people together like Grant Rogers does. And he's terrific on the field, off the field, in the dugout, his work. Funny story, I actually recruited him out of high school when I was
Oh.
coaching in college. Offered him, not nearly enough. Um, Very happy he didn't choose to come play for us because we probably wouldn't be seeing him now. But what a guy. He was, I think he fiddled with two arm slots in Vancouver in 23 and maybe even
Okay.
earlier this year. And for a duration of this season even, but he's just got a wide arsenal. He can sink it, he can really spin it. Um, and the sweeper is real, and there's a splitter and a cutter, and like he's just got a whole bag of weapons, and the look is different than everyone else. I mean, he's got to be 6'7", low three quarters from the side. Um, you can see him just absolutely mow hitters down, and then at the same times you see him in the zone too much. So um, maybe it's you have to get your outs inside the strike zone, but then at sometimes you have to learn when teams might be ambushing you, and you need to work from in the zone to out of the zone to get some chase. And yeah, I know Grant and all our guys know that it's just a matter of executing. So similar to all these guys, like probably velocity needs to continue to increase. And with Grant's work and how much attention he pays to everything on the physical side, no doubt he'll continue to throw harder as he gets older, learns his body more. Um, and then just refining and executing. Like he has the weapons, his stuff is enough. And when you need that sinker down and in on that righty, you've got to get it there. Because if you miss 4 inches over the plate, that's a 89, 95 mile an hour ground ball down the line that goes for an RBI double. But someone who can flush bad outings and then not really um, live too much on his good outings. Like he'll flush it and he'll move on to the next start and what's important that day and what's important tomorrow. And um, but yeah, man, what a guy to be around. He's a special one.
This episode of the Bird's Eye View podcast is brought to you by BioSteel. Use code Bird's Eye View at checkout for 20% off your order at biosteel.ca. Again, that's code Bird's Eye View at checkout for 20% off your order. For all your high performance hydration needs, visit biosteel.ca. Thank you again to BioSteel for sponsoring today's episode. We've talked a lot about the pitching, obviously. I mean, you look at any prospect pipeline or anything of the sort, the Jays obviously litter top to bottom with pitching prospects, but hitting for you guys as well. A couple of really interesting names. You brought up Hendrik Pinego earlier. RJ Schreck spent some time with you guys as well. I'd want to kind of hear a little bit about the two of those guys and their evolutions this year. I think especially Pinego, I think is really fascinating in that, as you mentioned, it really was his first kind of real legitimate time in the organization, being acquired at the last deadline, and blossomed in a lot of ways.
Yeah, both of them are absolute dogs. Like you wouldn't want you will be talking about them a lot. Hopefully as Blue Jays, but not many hitters you'd rather have in the box with two out, runner on second in the bottom of the ninth than those two. They both go about it their own way, which makes them extremely, extremely great. So it's got them both here from, Hendrik was an international free agent out of Venezuela, and RJ went Vandy to Duke to Seattle to us, like different paths. Pinongo went to the Cubs as well and then came to us. So like we got two guys with established routines. Uh, they're both just absolute warriors in the box and swing it hard and try to do damage. And um, both are pretty patient. Both are very good in the clutch, run the bases hard. There's a lot of intangibles there about those two on top of all the batted ball metrics and batting averages that you can see. Um, those two dudes play hard, and you know, Nathan Lucas kind of comp, both left-handed, damage, average, on base, can run a little bit. Yeah, man, couldn't be higher on the both of them. Like, let's just continue to develop the whole game, you know. But they're both close, knocking on the door. Don't know exactly what the AAA numbers look like. I think they were both pretty good. I know RJ had some injuries once he moved up with some wrist stuff, but uh, oh man, two hitters you don't want to face back to back. And we got to go. I think one point of our year we had four of the top five were all lefties, and we're completely fine with that.
Yeah.
I think they both have reverse splits as well.
Okay.
Something about I think just something about the left-handedness makes them lock in more and hang on breaking balls. Often you don't see the third pitch, you know, left on left. So, um, yeah, tough at bats, man. Good luck getting through the first inning. You get through the first inning, you're going to earn this one. So, um, yeah, I think we're going to be talking about both of them pretty soon.
Two very exciting guys for sure. One guy that you did kind of have for the whole year was Charles McAdoo, and I know he kind of had the slower start, and then he had the week away from the team, and then comes back after being on the development list. I wonder like what you kind of saw from him before and after, and maybe if you could give us a little bit of insight into what went into him and his huge kind of second half there.
Yeah, you know, we saw somebody who never wavered. You know, he probably had never struggled like he had done, like he did early.
Right.
And another guy that was new to us as well. I know he
Yeah.
came over at the deadline, played a little bit more than Pinongo and Shrek maybe um, in his first half season with us, but um, yeah, he never wavered. And even and that was cool as because you got to earn these players' trust before you can expect them to listen or take, or change what this is their livelihood. And we're not trying to change them before they trust us and we know who they are. So um, the changes, contradictories, huge and not very big, like an alteration to what he did in his pre-work, in his early work, in his cage routine, and just getting him more mobile and more athletic in the box. And you'd probably laugh at me if you knew some of the things that we did, but huge kudos to Charles, our hitting coordinator, our whole hitting group, our Mitch, our hitting coach there in New Hampshire. They just stuck to it, and Charles is extremely talented, and he works, man. Like he knows how to work, he knows how to have fun. I've never seen someone who can have fun with themselves struggling as well as he did, but he definitely helped the vibe in the clubhouse. And when you see a guy who's struggling and you know what he's capable of, and he's keeping that attitude, the guy next to him can't be anything other than that. Got to be uplifting, got to be positive, and looking for the best. So Charles, another guy, doesn't back down. Like he will take his best swing, plays hard. Um, I think one week we had 8 games in a week. We had multiple rainouts, double headers, and Charles comes in and looks at the board, and I said something to him like, "Hey, you're playing 6, maybe 7 of 8," and he just looked at me and said, "Why not all 8? What do I got to do to play all 8?" I was like, "Well, start by asking that question. Second, I don't think anyone's going to play 8 in May. Um, there's other guys that need their chances too, but he just sticks with it and he works and there's an attention and just a true passion to just solving this thing, solving why am I getting beat or why am I fouling that pitch off. And he's a little non-traditional in the box. Stands kind of closed off and does have a tendency to step out a little bit. And we just kind of leaned on what his tendencies were and turned that into a good thing rather than I think what some groups might have done with them is completely stop and change him up fully. We leaned on what he was doing and what he does normally and naturally and just said, let's play with this. And God, what he hit 250 with 15 homers this year and 20 doubles, 25 doubles, maybe.
Yeah.
35 for 40 on the bases, something like that. So yeah, what a guy.
I'm glad you brought up the stolen bases because I mean 34 stolen bases, like I mean it's a lot of bags in a year, and I just kind of wondered, obviously we focus a lot on kind of the offensive results, but seeing the way that he was able to impact the game on the bases and then also being defensively, I wonder kind of if you could speak to like what he does outside of the box as well that might help him kind of as he moves up the ladder.
Yeah, on the bases, he's got instincts and he has no fear. He has a really good sense of timing. And so I think we saw him vault or kind of shuffle lead on a lot of guys.
Okay.
Stole third successfully a lot this year with that pitchers at first base, the move's not as quick, and sometimes they'll fall into a tendency of looks.
Right.
And there's just something that Charles has that he's learned about timing and looks and just feel where he's not the fastest guy in a straight 90-foot race. He won't like this, but not by a long shot. But when he's got somewhere to go and you're telling him he can't as the defense, he's going to take that base on you. Helps when you're on base a lot too. So, but smart. I think one of the we paid a lot of attention to leads and base stealing and then hit advancement and fly ball advancement and things like that. And our bench coach and Jake McGuigan and Delta Cleary did a great job of just keeping those small things at the forefront for these guys because they do show up, and we saw it in the playoffs for all these teams. And Charles did a great job, led us in a lot of categories that you won't see online as well. So he's cerebral and he's got no fear. And then defensively, first baseman, third baseman, he could play all over the field. He almost got his shot at shortstop. He begged for it every day. Just hard to move Cade away from there and Riv when we had him, and other guys that were there as well. But yeah, Charles, maybe one day you could see him in the outfield. That's just me talking, just with the tools that he has. But he can stay on the dirt as long as he wants. I know he played second base in college, so just another guy with all the shifts and all the positioning. It's great to have the versatility. If you're a third baseman with a lefty power hitter in the box, you're basically playing shortstop, with where the shift takes you. So reliable defender. He has a little bit of steps still to go, but the arm's accurate. The arm's got enough carry to it. He can make the play on the run, field the hot shot. So just gonna be good to see him kind of continue progressing at the whole game and see where he goes.
A couple guys that you got kind of in towards that second half, they came up, I believe, at the same time was Jackson Hornung and Pat Gallagher, who both had really strong starts in Vancouver, and they came up to you guys and kind of continued to perform really well. I think they both had strong seasons in Double A, and once they got the promotion, I wonder kind of for you having seen them at both levels, and then their strong performance once they got to you. What did you kind of see that allowed them to do that and to be able to kind of hit the ground running? I think Jackson had like a 4-hit game his first game with you guys.
Yeah, and I think he took McDade Brown deep on a 100-mile-an-hour heater on that same game, and I think threw a guy out from left field. Two guys you really want to pull for. Two great human beings, gritty Northeastern boys. I don't know if Pat played hockey. I know Jackson did.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are two cool phone calls I got to make. I was driving somewhere. It was on an off day, and I think I got to call them on a Sunday night and say, "Hey, heard you're coming." And to make both of those phone calls separately was pretty cool. The guys that I had, and we'd made some runs together. In I think we went to playoffs. Patty was with us in 23 when we won it, but he left because of mono.
Oh,
And then came back last year, and both of them were contributors in the playoff run in 2 years ago in 24. So, and getting those guys back is great because you've kind of done it before. You've played meaningful games. You know what their goals are. They know my style of how I handle things and our staff. So, gritty guys that have worked for everything they got. Terrific humans. Jackson came in. I think we just had some injuries and some players promoted, so we weren't firing on all cylinders offensively. And it's like, hey, Jackson comes in, he's either hitting second, third, or fourth. And just his first game was electric. Patty was nails for us, long relief, spot start. Velo isn't where he wanted it. He's been a little higher, but where he lacked in that, he executed. His splitter was great when he got it down. And yeah, I think he had a sub-3 ERA this year. And and Jackson did a nice job in his time with us. So really excited for both of them, and not surprised by their success, but also really, really happy to see it. You never want to see a kid not make it, and those are two that you're really happy when they do get promoted and you hear their names being talked about and get the chance to hopefully get to promote them one day in the future as well.
You mentioned a few times that kind of a bit of a like a gritty, like a well-meshed group. I know this is a little bit kind of almost like off topic, but just the way that you've kind of repeatedly mentioned it, it seems like something that very clearly not only like the organization really appreciates, but even, down to more of a granular level, this appreciation, this effort to go out and acquire kind of like dudes almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. It's like the it factor. It's yeah, kudos to our group that brings these players in, and um it's an easy game. And one, it's a gritty game. It's hard, right? Like, the old saying, you go 3 for 10, you're a Hall of Famer, even though it's not right. You're going to get out much more than you're going to succeed, and you're riding the bus, and you're playing 6 days in a row, and right, it's just a gritty game. And for the people that don't have the ability to kind of just, get on the saddle and go to work, it's tough. It's tough, especially when you do fail or when you aren't getting playing time. And yeah, our scouting, it's a combination of who we bring in and then how do we handle these moments once we are all Blue Jays. And Blue Jays run hard, and Blue Jays break up double plays, and Blue Jays battle with 2 strikes, and there's all these things that we're trying to get, and it's hard to get those things if the people aren't buying in. So when you get a little bit of blue collarness, like, and that's what a lot of these guys share. And it's a respectful competitor as well. It's not just, the kind of talk kind of thing. And a lot of these guys aren't vocal leaders, but they just lead by how they do their thing. Whether it's picking up a dugout, whether it's busting a hard 90 to break up a double play or to beat out a double play so that run scores. Just small things that help you win games and just be a successful person.
It's really incredible. We had Jacob Caples on after the FCL team won their championships, and he was kind of saying all the same stuff. So I think it's really cool, like just how you guys have been able to like implement all this stuff like across the organization at all the different levels. Like just really, really, really cool to see that. The last individual name that I kind of wanted to throw at you was Jace Borfin and the year that he had and kind of how he developed throughout the year and kind of what you saw from him in his first go around in the league.
Yep, another guy had him last year, and Jace hit in the middle of our order, even
Yeah.
even when he was struggling. He's capable of so much. It's going to happen. He just kind of got beat this year, and guys pitched him hard, like really hard. The league adapted to him. Now it's his turn to adapt to the league, and there's no doubt in my mind this is going to be a huge turnaround for him. And um, he did run into a little bit of bad luck, as all players do. He probably hit one of the hardest balls of the year. We were in Portland, pinch hit, bases loaded, bottom of the top of the eighth, top of the ninth, and a ball hit at like 108 at 35 degrees, doesn't leave the ballpark, and even the fans in the stadium didn't believe it. It stayed in the ballpark. That was kind of like a summary of his year, but he is a pure hitter. The ability to drive the ball to all fields. He can walk. He can, do his damage. He can do his on base percentage. Learning all 3 outfield spots still. So still some ceiling left and some room for him to grow. And talk about a guy who is very even keel and a great human. And there's no one I want it to happen for more than him. And I know he's working hard to adjust to, whatever it is he was getting beat with. And yeah, I hope to see that teams attack him the same way next year as they did this year, because I know he'll have the answer for it. But just a very, very hitterish guy, and just another guy we're trying to kind of push the whole game. Let's push the defender. Let's push the base running. We move him to center a little bit to kind of get some captain leadership, burst kind of out of him. But I think he's comfortable in the corners the most. But really looking for a bounce back from Jace, and I know he had a broken hand. I think Connolly Early, the guy who pitched for the Red Sox late, hit him with 95 on 5th of July, I think day after the 4th, 5th or 6th of July, and ended his year pretty much. But yeah, really special player in person.
We've kind of thrown a lot of specific names at you, but I kind of wanted to give you a chance to, I mean, I know it's kind of tough to like pick from your entire roster, but are there kind of any guys that like we haven't talked about that really stood out to you, whether it was like their performance off the field, the way that they led off the field, or any guys that you think were like just really key members of this year's Fisher Cats team?
Gosh, man, yeah, there's so many, like, just depending on which way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Fernando Perez, Yandri Rojas, Johan Simon, Victor Arias, 4 younger Latin players that either came up to us late. Arias was with us and had an injury, ended his season. Rojas came to us late. Perez, Simon. The last three are pitchers, and man, they're filthy. They're young, they're filthy, and I know Yandri went to the fall league. It ended a little early for him, but those three guys were automatic.
Yeah.
And then automatic. Fernando's great. He's a different look. And then Yandri and Simone come in late, and lefty and righty, and it's just fuel. It's different looks. It's good breaking stuff. So that was a great August Christmas present from the org right there. Hey, we're promoting these guys, and I think they both started in low A, so I didn't know much about them. God, man, our catchers this year, like you talk about all these pitchers
Yeah.
and all these guys that come through, and our catchers got a bit of a unfair shake. I mean, we had so many high priority position players. Most of the time, our catchers end up hitting ninth, so that's two ABs a game, maybe three. Um, a lot of work goes into catching, so you can't really talk about all these pitchers without highlighting the 4 or 5 dudes that we had throughout the year that grinded with them and helped them get to this success. Contributing in different ways. Gosh, man, we had so many. Javon Ward came up. He's an older guy that was with us in Vancouver and had a good double A second half, and I'm not sure with his contract status, but I think he was a free agent this year. Did a really nice job. Yeah, there's just really just a proud thing to go and conquer, right? Like you didn't win the league, but you got one player from low A to the big leagues. You got many players acquiring major league talent at the trade deadline, which you never want to see anyone go. But I just
Yeah.
saw Kendry Rojas got put on the 40 man with Minnesota. Like, what a great thing for him in his career. I've been with him since he was 18 years old. Like, I might tune into I want to go fly and watch his debut. Uh, just seeing these guys get closer to their goals, and as a staff collectively combining all of our talents and kind of abilities to help these guys in their own way, just kind of gets you fired up and want to go do it again right now. Yeah, it was a good
Uh,
experience, and really really cool to go through this with these players.
yeah, no, it sounds like, I mean, like what an incredible experience. I don't even doubt for a second that it's like watching, you got 26 or more of your sons trying to watch them succeed, right? I'm sure it's a pleasure. And I mean, just kind of, we've talked so much about the individual players. I don't mean to put you too much on the spot here, but I want to hear a little bit about just kind of the atmosphere of the team, and if you have any moments that you recall, any favorite moments specifically, just throughout the year, if there's anything that you can remember, whether it's on the field, whether it's off the field that you're
Yeah,
comfortable sharing, of course, or any kind of
yeah. Actually, I was just telling my Spanish teacher earlier this morning about we were snowed out on a day in Portland, and early in the season. And I think RJ Schreck threw out the game tying or game winning run on a sac fly, and then whatever it is, 10th, 11th inning. McAdoo hit a big double and homer. It was a cold night in Portland. We won the game. You go to extras, you're the road team. Probabilities say the home team's going to win. We grind out a win. We get some huge performances, throw a guy out of the plate with their best hitter coming up. Like, it was great win. The next day we get ready to go back to the ballpark and we get snowed out. And all right, you never hate a rain out when you've got to play 150 of these things. And man, we had lobster rolls, pizza, our dietitian shifted everything. It was just a really good, like, I don't want to say fellowship, but just in a hotel downstairs lobby, just food that a bunch of guys would never order. And really great food. Props to
Yeah.
Steph for getting all that. But I just remember, like, the last night's win boiled over the next day. No one was playing baseball that day. Half the guys had never seen snow before. Um, it was just, it was a pretty cool day. It was early in the season, and coming off a big win, kind of gritty win. And we won the last 6 of our year,
Yeah.
swept the last 6 after going like 13 losses in a row. So really proud of, like, during 13, it's easy. 13 game losing streak, one, I've never been a part of that, so you don't know how to navigate it. You're not going to go in and yell at everyone. At least I'm not. Some people might, but I guarantee you're probably going to lose 14. So it was like the stick to itness, the, like, just nose to the grindstone. Yeah, we've lost 10 in a row. Like, we're facing another dude tonight. Uh, so what? Let's go hit. And then to turn around and rattle off 6 in a row at home. We were pretty wounded in the last couple of weeks as well. We had a very limited options, and just to, like, turn it around and end on a 6-game win streak over a talented Orioles club there with Jerron Watts Brown on the other side, who was a big part of our season and a great dude and buddy to all of our guys. Yeah, that was cool. The team got together, went to a Jays Pittsburgh Pirates game.
Nice.
Just seeing all the camaraderie, the card games, the guys working, staff outings, after on a day off, whatever it is. But yeah, just really proud to be a part of this group. And no matter where these players end up going, like hopefully they can look back on their time and enjoy the work, enjoy the results, and know that we're doing everything we could for them, and they were doing everything for themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's a perfect place for us to leave it. Brent, really appreciate you taking the time to do this and for all the insight. This was really great, and a really great kind of peek behind the curtain at the year that you guys had in New Hampshire. And thanks again for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, guys, my pleasure, and looking forward to doing it again one day in the future.
Amazing. We will definitely hit you up for that. But that is going to do it for us here today at the Bird's Eye View Podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons if you're watching on YouTube. You can find us there at the Bird's Eye View Pod. If you're listening along on the audio provider of your choice, make sure to drop a follow and review. You can follow us all on Twitter. I am at Worden_Zach. Jori is at Negin-Shecter, and the pod is at BEV_pod. Thank you so much for listening.